Hello everyone, my name is Felix. I'm investor at Ananda Impact Ventures. We are a leading European impact fund based in Munich and London, managing around 200 million euros across 4 funds and, as I said, one of the first impact funds in Europe. We are a general fund, early stage fund, so pre-seed until Series A, general in that sense that all companies, all startups that address a societal problem fit in our scope. That can be healthcare, elderly care, diversity and inclusion, and that's why we are here today, obviously sustainability. One of our portfolio companies was already introduced. Thomas, the CEO, is sitting next to me, OroraTech, and it's also about the same as Modern Meadows and what Catherine talked about. It's about the combination of scalability and sustainability, and that's what we found so attractive as investors. Because before I talk more about that, please welcome Thomas as well. Thomas is CEO and founder. Please tell us a little bit more on what you are doing at OroraTech.
Thank you. It's very cool to be here in this very important conference on sustainability, actually. So our vision is firm intelligence for sustainable Earth. What does it mean? We take so we do thermal infrared imaging from satellites, so from space, and thermal infrared is actually the temperature. So we measure the temperature several times a day down to real time at the end to provide different solutions in climate change adaptation and mitigation.
And you have heard that already a few times now, the word temperature. We will dive into that a little bit more. But first of all, last week there was a big announcement on your side, funding round, 15 million euros. Congratulations on that. What excites you the most about the current funding?
Thank you. Yeah, what excites me most, there's many things that excites me, but most exciting, and I think you mentioned over here, is also we're the only space startup out there, so a startup with having assets in space, which actually has now the second impact fund in our portfolio, in our cap table. So we're welcoming Edafon on our cap table. They're focusing on biodiversity and decarbonization, and that again plays very, very nicely with our vision and our targets.
And on this link, now getting a little bit deeper and into the nitty-gritty of OroraTech. So what's the link between the temperature that you're measuring in general and decarbonization?
So actually everything in climate change is somehow connected to temperature. Whether it's a forest fire that's super hot, whether it's emissions from a building, from chimneys, or whether it's just climate change that heats everything up. I mean, we're not hitting the 1.5 degree goal, and we are always reading it in the newspaper on the day after. And we say, yeah, you cannot change what you don't measure. And so we take the Earth's temperature from space, real-time high resolution to actually drive this adaptation and mitigation.
And do you have some use cases where you can use that?
The big question is always thermal infrared imaging, temperature images. Why? This is a normal satellite image, so I see you're taking pictures. The cool thing is coming soon. You see this spot here, some agricultural fields. There's another spot, you see some dark forest area. Let's look at it in thermal infrared imagery. So suddenly, the fields have different shades than before. The darker the field is, the more moisture is in the field, the more water is evaporating. So it's very important if we don't have enough water as a source to fairly distribute it, for example. On the other hand, on the left side, you see this very hot spot, so this very bright spot in the forest, which was before very dark. This means, yeah, it's very hot. There could be still a fire. It could be very risky that it burns soon. So this is only visible from infrared and therefore needed for actually this climate change adaptation and to also mitigate this.
And yeah, you are a space tech company, but there are not only satellites up there. There's also software using the data, analyzing it, and then providing us with insights. And the first, what Marco already mentioned, the first software product on that end is around wildfire, on detection, monitoring, managing. Can you tell us more on this side, what you're doing there?
Yeah, so the first area we entered is forest fire detection and monitoring. And I want to highlight one fire we also imaged with our camera this summer. So that's already a real picture. And what we do there is also fire perimeter tracking or fire front monitoring. And this is very important because if you look at this fire, it's a very typical fire in California, but it happens also in South America, in many regions all over the globe. And we had a burnt area of 2,000 hectares there. It was burning for 3 weeks and was costing $16.3 million in just the suppression of the fire, not looking at reforestation costs, for example. And with our data, actually, we enable the firefighters, in this case, to generate the right guidance for attacking a fire, so to suppress it faster, quicker, and more efficiently.
And then if you think about that side, so 2,000 hectares burned forest, that roughly correlates to 700,000 tons of CO2 emitted. It's crazy. So if you think about, or if you are able to support firefighters by slashing that area maybe in half, so that it just 1,000 hectares burned, bad enough still, but you also slash CO2 emissions in half. And that's what we, from a commercial perspective, but also from an impact perspective, found so interesting to invest in. So huge impact on CO2, but also it's about adapting to climate risk, which we all become sadly more and more aware and of and affected by. And this combination attacking both, so reducing emissions and that adaptation to climate change, this is in the wildfire area, super interesting. You said these are your images. There's another big milestone from the beginning of this year. You launched your first satellite, and this is, for any satellite company, a huge milestone to show that it's possible, that you are possible to operate this, to operate a satellite. What have you learned from this?
So we were also starting to compare our sensor with other sensors. And what you see there, that our sensors actually really playing at the top class level. So now the text is dark, but on the very left you see our sensor, and all the other 3 are public sensors, so from NASA and other instruments. And we're really comparable. And still, these pictures were taken from a commercial, no, not from a commercial, but from an institutional satellite at the size of a big car or nearly a small truck. And our sensors are the size of a shoebox. It means our sensors are super cheap, and therefore we can produce many of them. And the first time, not only have a good data quality, but can provide frequent, real-time observation of effects like forest fires and alarm from them.
And with that real-time monitoring and its scalability, what else can you do?
Also very interesting is it to look at urban heat emissions. For example, here at Los Angeles. Here again, also 500 kilograms, so a very expensive NASA research sensor taking one picture of Los Angeles. And it's super comparable with our sensor, which has 2 kilograms. So again, a few hundred times cheaper. And what you see in the picture is you see that which areas have bad insulation, or sometimes can even scale down to the house, which houses has bad insulation, which power plants are driving also emissions in the city or contribute to heat in the city. And many cities are currently scared that they are not livable in the next 10 years, so that in 10 years you don't want to be in Athens, for example, anymore. And so these cities like Athens, Miami, and so on, they install chief heat officers now to actually build up this climate resilience. And our data will play a very important role in these transformations to climate change.
And this is also on part that made me as an investor even more excited about that this is not just in one area, wildfire, but it can be adopted to all areas, to agriculture, to urban heat, and also, which is a huge topic at the moment, energy efficiency, heating signatures of building, knowing where to improve heating. So happy to see more of that. What's next for you? What do you have your sights on?
More is coming next May already. So next May we're launching our second satellite, or second camera, and this is the first commercial camera. So we already have a few customers lined up there. We're going to sell the data, provide it to projects like the NOAA Data Alliance. And in 2024, and we are already going this mass production in our office, we're launching our first 8 cameras, providing 2 times daily data, and it's already very good input for our customers who currently use planes for forest fire observation, for example, and that we can help there. And with this, we are targeting this global real-time observation in 2026, 2027.
Obviously, I'm really looking forward to what's to come. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you, Felix. Everyone who is interested, reach out to me, and now you're allowed.